All right, so we are live. Would y'all check the page and just see if y'all see us pop up? Because I hope it's not something that is just, like we said, a setting.
There you go. You good?
I'm good. All right, awesome, y'all. I am so glad. Let's kind of get to the comments and see if we have any people that come in through Facebook, so we can chat along with them. Hello, everybody, and we apologize for our tardiness. We had some technical issues that were happening, but we're so glad that you guys are in. So I do want to, first of all, welcome you guys again, and those of you that are coming in, we just want to make sure as well that you do share our broadcast as well, so that we can make sure that everyone is kind of like with us on this. All right. So we had to switch over. But again, I do want to thank God for these individuals that are sharing with us on today. And I do want to take an opportunity. I know in the other platform we announced who they are, but I just want to briefly just kind of state again who they are. And how much of a blessing that they have been to us. So once again, we thank God for Tonia Askins that is sharing with us on today. We thank God for the gift that she is to us and to so many individuals. She is just such a blessing to me. And she has helped me in so many ways in the area of entrepreneurship and business coaching. And so I really just thank God for just her willingness to pour into individuals and to share with CEOs, those that are starting out new as entrepreneurs. And she is truly a blessing. She is an international business consultant, a publisher, a TV show producer as well, who has serviced emerging entrepreneurs, nonprofits, existing small business owners, and corporations for over 15 years. And she just doesn't serve those in the United States. She's international, globally. And I really just thank God for her just being with us on today. So thank you again for sharing with us, Tonia, on today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. And then I thank God for Bishop Dennis R.Hebert. He truly is a blessing in so many areas, especially in leadership. He has really just helped groom and shape me as a leader as well. And I just thank God for the gift that he is to the body of Christ and to everyone at large. He is a business owner, an author, a preacher, a community leader, the senior pastor and teacher of Beacon Light Baptist Church of Hammond. He also serves as the executive secretary for our Beacon Light International Ministries. He is the bishop of protocol for the Full Gospel Baptist Church Fellowship International. He is the CEO president of Dennis R.Hebert Ministries, and just doing a great work just throughout the Hammond area and just all throughout the states. And we just thank God for you, Bishop, and your leadership and taking time being on this particular locker room chat with us on tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, so glad you're here. So we're going to go and get right in it. I see everybody that's coming in saying hello and just good evening to all of you. So good evening to you, and we're glad that you're here. And so we're going to be talking about this particular topic, help. Oh, Lord, I can keep saying the word help. This is heavy for me, a CEO's perspective. And we just want to hear what God is going to share in and through these vessels to help us understand the significance of having the right support around us when we've been called to such a great work. And so I want to start off, first of all, just to ask you all, and any one of you can chime in, with all the many hats that you wear, just share with us, how is it that you manage?
Ladies first.
Prayer.
Yeah.
No, seriously, prayer. Prayer, time blocking.
Mm-hmm.
Time blocking, that's good.
Is so important. Yes, time blocking and prioritization.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way.
That's the only way. That's
yeah.
good.
I agree.
Keep adding on, so that works for me.
I definitely agree as well. From a spiritual perspective, I do believe that when you're passionate about something, and really when something is your assignment and your life purpose, God gives you a grace for it. and then he allows all of those areas to touch in some kind of way. And I think that's the key, is that everything that you do, they touch. So it's not totally different, but you are expanding your potential. You're expanding upon the grace that God has given you, and it allows you to be able to manage so much. But I think the real reason is that when you have that hunger, when you have that thirst and that passion, that there's a grace for entrepreneurs to do that. I've always taught that when we've had sessions with entrepreneurs, that they have a drive that just the common person who doesn't have that particular grace does not have. And I believe that's what allows us to be able to wear so many hats, those of us who are serialpreneurs, which is the word I learned tonight.
Yes, serialpreneurs. And so even before we get off in our discussion, I do want to mention this. I have read this particular article, and this caught my attention as I was reading. It was a CEO, and this is what he said when he was asked about, what exactly does his chief of staff or his executive assistant or certain people who were in those support roles do. And this is what he stated. He said, I've had a chief of staff, COS, for several years, and the most common question I get is, what does he do? He said, well, you have to ask that person. You have to ask them. He said, I'm not entirely sure, really. That's the point, right? I couldn't tell you exactly what my chief of staff does or my executive assistant does. What I do know is that I am able to focus on my 20%. That's sharing the vision and the mission and leading the team and making important decisions, because I have these people as a support to me, a COS, executive assistant, and other administrative support. So in essence, he's saying, I don't need to know what they're doing, but I do know one thing: they're helping me so that I can focus on the main thing. Is that really like the perspective of a CEO? Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that encapsulates exactly. I mean, if I had to worry about everything that the administrator or the chief of staff does, then I don't need that person. I think a lot of times that executives are focused on results, and I think they hire people to help them with systems, to help them with processes and protocol to get those things done. So I definitely agree with that statement.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I guess the question becomes, what is the most valuable resource of a CEO? Like, what's important to you guys? To those who serve as,
for them to be a resource for me.
Okay, for them to be a resource. That's good.
They have to be resourceful, especially with all the hats that I do wear. Even if they're in one area for me, I need them to at least be aware of the other areas and be able to forward me in other areas, because I don't know what I might need in any given day,
Right.
depending on the task.
That's good. Bishop?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with that. When I'm identifying potential leaders to walk alongside me, there are several things that I look for. I think number one, character is important, specifically when you're talking about those who work real close with you in the area of administration. Character is so important because character speaks to the integrity factor. And if there is some issues or some flaws with the integrity factor, that thing is going to become obvious down the road. Outside of character, also competence. That person has to have, they can't just be good people. I think a lot of times executives may stumble because they hire good people, but they don't hire good people who are competent. Competence speaks to the intelligence factor. It speaks to that individual having some type of knowledge as it relates to what it is you're trying to lead. So, for example, in our investment company, when I hire a project, a property manager who basically handles all the administration of the property and oversees the property, I don't just want to hire a good person to come and do that, all right? Because it's more than just collecting rent. There's a science to learning how to fill vacancies. There's a science to learning how to interface with tenants and all of the governmental restrictions, et cetera. So there has to be a level of competence that's there. The third one is cadence. And it's, can they keep up? Because some people can be competent, but they can't keep up. And I know personally as a leader, I can, my wife says I have ADD and I can be scattered all over the place. So they have to be able to keep rhythm and keep pace with where I'm going, and then help me to organize all of that chaotic idealism that I can often drift into. So cadence is very, very important. You got to hire people that can march at your pace. And even when God speeds your pace up and you start doing multiple things like serialpreneur, I'm going to keep using that word until I use it up today. I learned that word earlier. But if you are a serialpreneur, you want to have people walking with you that can keep up and keep pace with you. And then finally, capacity. Because business is always changing, because the marketplace is always changing, you have to have people who have the capacity to grow with you, people to be flexible, people to kind of see what you see and then help you to organize and move in that way. So those are the few areas that I always evaluate. Character, because as we're talking about personnel, as we're talking about vision, I need you to have the character to be able to hold it. Like, don't go out and tell everybody what we're about to do before it's actually launched. So that speaks to character. You have to be able to do things like that. Competence, cadence, and then capacity.
God, those were some good things. I hope y'all capturing this now, because those are some very, very good points. Did you want to add to that, Tonia?
Yeah, and I love that list. That's almost identical, but there's
The
one other
C
thing.
factor. We'll call it the C factors.
Yeah, absolutely. And being able to the creative problem solving. I need you to be able to solve a problem when I'm not around. I need you to know what I think like I would think when I'm not around. Have the heart I would have, right? And making decisions. That's so important for me when I do look for an assistant, and when I do hire assistants, that the heart has to be right. They have to understand intention. That's so important.
That's good. That's
good. I would add to that. That was perfect. Problem solving. They got to be able to solve problems and not run to you with everything. That's so important. Herman Cain, who God rest his soul, he died of COVID on last year. But if you may remember Herman Cain, he was a Republican nominee for a Republican candidate for president several years ago. And he also claim to fame was he ran Godfather's Pizza Corporation. And one of the things I never forget that he said in the interview is that when he hired people, he don't want to hire people that can't solve problems. So if you have a problem in the restaurant, we don't need you trying to find a manager to solve the problem. You take care of the problem because you're interfacing with the customer. You're there on the floor. And that's so very, very important. A leader always asks themselves this question, whether they verbalize it or not. If I have to do it, why do I need you?
Absolutely.
And so when you said that, Tonia, that made me think about that. Like, you have to be able not just to solve problems, but even if it's a problem that need an executive decision, that you present options. So you say, sir, ma'am, this is the problem that we have. Here's option one. Here's option two, just for you to think about. Because I believe in the busyness of a leader's life, sometimes they need that spark to focus them to be able to solve that problem efficiently.
Yeah, that's good. And that reminds me of something that I heard.
Add something else.
Yeah, go ahead.
On the flip side of it, in my book, 8 Strategies for a Successful VA, I talk about not only from the virtual assistant end, being a problem solver, but also from the end of, and you've been finding out what from the CEO end is, we have to, as CEOs, give them the power to solve problems.
Yes.
And the leeway to solve the problems, because a lot of people hold on and don't give that freedom. And so that's so important, because they don't think they're going to be able to have that leeway to do it if you don't grant it.
Right. Right.
as the
That's good.
CEO, your perspective, you know.
That's good. How valuable is your time and energy as a
It's
CEO?
everything.
Come on, let's
It's
talk about that,
absolutely
because
everything.
those support staff have to be able to identify, protect, and to be able to position your calendar appropriately and all this kind of stuff in various ways, support you so that you can have that time and energy. How important is that?
It's very important. They're normally the front line, right? They're normally the first contact. They're normally the vetters. Right. So those critical thinking of, hey, Tonia may not be able to meet with you for a week. So let me make sure I say this in the right way that she can't see you tomorrow. Right. But she can see you in a week. That's so important. And how that conversation goes represents you. And you're not even there as a CEO.
That's good. Bishop?
Absolutely.
Right?
So you don't need people who be like, she says she can't see you until next week, right? So you need people, again, that goes back to competence that we just talked about. They have to have that competence to be able to massage certain situations like that. I think time and energy are so important because those are two of the things in life that you don't get back. That once they're spent, once they're expelled, you cannot recycle that. You cannot get that back. And so being able to efficiently use time and energy is everything. And I also believe that helps the leader focus. We do not have an infinite amount of energy, right? And so our energy, our focus is so very, very important for us to make quality decisions, for us to have time to have vision for the future of the organization. And so having that person that can save time in the example I just gave. So instead of just giving the leader something, saying this is the problem that needs to be solved, but you come to them with options. You come to them with potential solutions. And again, that saves time, that saves energy. And then I think it also helps the leader to build trust in the administrator now, because now they're thinking like an executive as well.
Right. And what I've seen, I've come to realize is that and the reason why you really need the right support, the right individuals, like you said, those that are competent, those that are forward thinkers, those that are taking initiative, all those good things, is because you have to be able to be effective at what you do as a CEO. You have to be efficient at what you do. And then most of all, focus. Because if you have to type the letter, you got to email the letter. Right. You have to make this phone call, make that phone call. You're doing things that could really be delegated as well. And so it's so important that we understand that our role, because many of you out there, and I see your comments. Thank you guys for commenting. I see Crystal, she said, your people represent you. Yeah. Your people represent you. So we have individuals that are viewing us now. You might be the executive, the visionary. Do know you can't do this alone. You have to get the right people around you, to save you time, energy, and like Bishop said, systems. Come on, I know that acronym now. It's systems. Saving you time. Am I saying that right?
Energy and money.
Energy and money. So system. You need to have those systems in place in order to do that. And so we have to understand that. So as it relates to some of the challenges that CEOs have when it comes to their administrative support. Y'all don't have no challenges, do you?
I don't know if I can voice my challenge.
Yeah, it's Coach Jay now. We're in the locker room, and guess what? We state the locker room is when you get off the court. Now you come into the room. Now we need to be honest,
right?
To be able to be real, have this tough conversation, right? And that's what CEOs have to learn how to do. You can't just breeze over issues. Come on, what challenges do CEOs have with support staff oftentimes?
At the end of the day, go ahead, Pastor, you want to go?
I'll always excited. Go ahead.
At the end of the day, it still comes down to relationships.
Yep.
It's all relationship. Even though it's work related, it's still a relationship. So that trust and the challenges of building trust, making sure people are making the right decisions when you're not around, making sure they are keeping things confidential.
Mhm.
All of those things are, to me, things that are built up over time,
Mhm.
and they only can come in time,
Mhm.
you know. So
Yeah.
the challenge is, do you have the time to build those things, you know, in the organizations or the business that you have?
Mhm.
And the challenges are relational, usually they're relational.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I think that relationship is paramount, and I think it takes a moment for, and I've seen this in all of the organizations that I lead. It takes a moment for the leader and the executive to get in sync, but once they establish again that cadence, that rhythm, I think is very very important for them to run at the same pace. A part of that also is making sure, I think the leader's responsibility to that is making sure that the administrator understands their value. Because I
Mhm.
believe when individuals just think I'm a secretary or I'm the person that opened up the office, no, you're way more than that. And sometimes if you're dealing with a startup, you're dealing with a small business that you can't afford a large staff. Yes, people may have to do multiple roles, but I think the important thing is to understand is that while I'm doing all of these things, I'm also a part of the executive team as well.
Right.
And that's so very, very important. I think one of the most neglected pieces to a lot of leaders' life is an administrator, because the administrator allows them to stay focused. The administrator allows them to feed off of their energy. I think that was mentioned earlier, because energy is neither created nor destroyed. So as a leader, as an executive, when I sit down at the table, I want people that's going to give me energy. I want people that's going to stir me. I want people that's thinking about the business, thinking about moving the needle of progress forward. And that comes with a certain level of knowing how to zip up certain things and say, hey, when I get into the boardroom, we're focused on moving things forward. The engagement and all of that is so very, very important in the leader. The leader likes to feel the energy of the administrator that they are taking care of business.
Yeah, that's good. I see where Mikia, she made a response. She said, positive administrator is greatly needed. Positivity. Because you don't need anyone around you, like you said, about that energy, who's
Yeah,
draining your energy. Don't
yeah,
have no
Yeah.
kind of zeal, no excitement about what they're doing. So it's so important. But one other thing you said, Bishop, that's so valuable, is valuing your
mhm,
support, and executives have to be very intentional in doing that, because oftentimes it becomes routine and they become familiar, and
mhm,
then the level of appreciation decreases. And guess what? The administrator, the support staff, they feel that. And when we're talking about, we're not just talking about administrators, you guys. We're talking about those that are executive assistants, administrative assistants, any type of way that you support vision and help to push vision forward. You are
mhm.
needed and you're necessary. Okay, so if you're out there, you are needed and you are necessary. And
Yeah.
the prayer is that your CEO, your executive, or you as an executive, because some
Mhm,
people are feeling this and they are in the shoes as an executive.
mhm.
And we're saying to you, make sure you don't neglect those that are there to what? Keep you what? With your energy level,
Yeah,
focus,
yeah.
as
Co-
And they're basically carrying the culture of
mm,
your organization or business. I
mhm.
call them culture carriers,
Wow.
because
good.
they're normally the frontliners. They're
Mm-hmm.
normally the people that answer the phone. So you want them to answer the phone right. They're the people that represent you. So you
Yeah.
want them to represent you right. They're the people that are probably doing the pre-onboarding before you train the people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So they're carrying the culture of what you want in that business.
Wow,
Yeah. I,
that's good.
I think
So they
another
definitely need to be valued.
very important part of that, and this can become frustrating, is when there's not a level of consistency, right? Consistency is so attractive to a leader. When you can find somebody that can just do something and do it consistently. And it starts with the very small things like showing up on time, right? Or showing up early. When I find somebody that'll show up early for a job, that lets me know you had to think about what you was going to wear, what time you was going to leave, what time you was going to arrive at the office. All of that speaks. And so when you find somebody that's consistent, I
Mhm.
believe consistency is paramount to success.
Yeah.
Emotional consistency. that when you show up, right, you're going to be emotionally there. And I know all of us have emotional bad days, but
Yeah, yeah.
I know personally as a leader, and I'll confess this, that leaders can be moody, and I'm guilty of that. But I think that administrator is the one that emotionally has to put them back on course and say, okay, come on, you need coffee, what you need to get, let's get this going, because we have to move this forward. And so the consistency of that administrator can oftentimes shape the culture, as Tonia mentioned, of the entire organization.
Yeah. I like what you said. You know, if the CEO moody, we don't need the administrator for support.
Right, right,
That
right.
sets what the culture. I love that, Tonia. Culture carriers.
Culture
That's what
carriers.
we are.
Yeah.
Culture carriers, and that we set the tone for the organization. The moment a person sees that first impression, right?
Mm-hmm.
That first impression that is so good. So it's so important that we understand that, you know, there's a level, a support level. Tell me, what does excellence, an exceptional administrative support, what does that look like to you? I know you were saying what the skills are, the power skills that they need to have. Anything that you know, what does that look like to you? An administrative, when we say excellent or exceptional or using those terms, the right one. That's hard. I think
Caring enough to follow through.
Mm-hmm.
Follow through.
Mm-hmm.
That's so important, to follow through. And people don't think about that because they just think about, I'm going to do the task.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times tasks require tasks after to make sure they're done properly.
Right.
And then following back up on the appointment, making sure it's done correctly, especially to a solopreneur, you know, because there are so many tasks assigned to one project. That follow through is key for me. And assigning.
That's good.
I think one of the things for me as it relates to excellence, especially what I look for in an administrator, and I think for every leader that's on tonight, is you must know what your weakness is, and you have to staff your weakness. Like one of my weaknesses is organization. At home, it's organization, and I bless God for my wife who helps keep the house organized, who helps keep me on task at home. You know, as it relates to my for-profit business, is organization, and so what I look for in exceptional administrators or exceptional executives to come alongside is somebody that has a level of organization that can add to me. Personally, I'm a visionary, and a lot of times people who are visionaries, who are creatives, they're not very organized, and so you need that individual that can come alongside and know exactly and pinpoint, hey, this is my leader's strength. This is my leader's area of opportunity, and I want to be there for them because that's how you create value. I want to be there to do the thing that you can't do proficiently, right? And that's how we make a dynamic team. And when you do that, when you find that area where they might not be as strong and you begin to fill that particular void, your value begins to go up, right? And you become almost irreplaceable. I don't say nobody's irreplaceable, but you become irreplaceable when you become that person.
Right. Yeah. That's so important. And you know, when I think of, you know, that word excellence and exceptional, to me, what that says is an extra miler.
Oh, absolutely.
You're going to do more than what's expected, more than what your job description says. You know, and that's excelling above and beyond. And I think as administrators, in any support area that we serve in, we want to make sure that we operate with that level of, I'm gonna do more than what expected. Oftentimes, you know, your administrators or people that support you, sometimes they have to stay longer, right? They might have to come earlier, right? And without complaint, when they do that, they become even more valuable, right? Y'all better say yes.
Yeah. So I mean, I think you're definitely great. And the opposite of being excellent is being average. And average says I'm only going to do what I'm supposed to do. Look, I leave at 5, and at 4:55 I'm in the car, right? So that's average. But knowing that some days, hey, I'm going to go the extra mile because I understand the importance of being. I think it was Mary in the chat who said being a finisher. right?
Yeah.
Being able to finish a particular project or close out a particular thing and not let it linger and carry on. The worst thing that a leader has to do is to continue asking questions about projects, right?
Mm.
So those type of things, making sure I finished this, I communicated that. And that's another C word. I got my C's going tonight. That communicator is huge in order to, again, create that value. And so I tell leaders all the time, your present job performance, your present position, and how you're performing there is your interview, right? That's your interview for your next position or your next promotion that you're seeking. You can't wait till you get the next job and say, I'm a level up at that point. No, you got to level up where you are, and then your gift makes room for you, right? Your gift opens up doors for you. And so that's so very important that we never go into a job, even if it's not with the present company, even if your promotion is not with your present organization, how you're performing right now is an indicator that I'm ready for promotion. And I think all of us as individuals, we have to do a self-inventory to say, hey, am I performing at the level to play on this field right now?
That's good. All right, Tonya, got something to say.
I love that. I absolutely love that, because at the end of the day, those of you out there who are assistants or virtual assistants or administrators, you ain't gonna be there forever, maybe.
Right.
And what's the next move? I
Mhm.
started out the VA business all that time ago, right? But I didn't stay the VA. I then became the consultant. And then I just consistently moved up, and I'm still moving.
Yeah.
Okay, so you won't always be there. And the way to level up is to be that level that you want to be up. I never forget that I was like, oh, I want my $10,000 client. And the Lord said, are you $10,000 ready?
Wow.
That's good. So you had to get.
What did I do? I got $10,000 ready.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
And then what happened? You got the $10,000 client.
And I got yes.
Yeah.
And
Right.
more.
I went full intention.
Yeah.
I took pictures, and when I took pictures and I said, this picture is going to get me my $10,000 client, I went intentionally in a photo shoot and said, this is the outfit that will get that.
Hey.
I posed with the intention that this will get that.
That's good.
You're gonna make me give you an offering. You better shut up. You are preaching now.
That's so good, and that's so true. Like you stated, you have to now begin to really see yourself at another level. Like you said, sow your way to it. Be the great, the best. So that like you say, your gift will make room and bring you before great men. I like we're getting several good comments, in the chat. I love what Christy said as it relates to what you said, Bishop, that you got to staff your weakness. Come on, CEOs, you can't do everything. No. So you have to find the right people. And that's what we're talking about, the right ones. Now we're giving you some characteristics to look for, especially when you do your next hire, people you're putting on your team, because some of you may be supervisors, managers. We're giving you those things to help you to be able to identify those persons. So even looking as it relates to knowing the right one, I had made this notation. How do you know you have the right one? And we kind of talked about that. They anticipate the need. How important is forward thinking or being able to, you not always having to have the vision, more or less, or come up with everything? How important is that to a CEO to not have to always have the idea?
Yeah, I heard Bishop Jakes say one time, we were in a leadership seminar. He was teaching a group of leaders and pastors. And he said this, and it's always been my criteria for identifying great leadership is, can you anticipate trouble? Like, good leaders are people who can anticipate balls being dropped so that they can catch it before the ball drop. So if you are event planner, if you are managing an office, you have to be forward thinking enough to say, okay, what if this person doesn't show up today? Or what if this vendor backs out at the last minute? All right. So I got another vendor in the hole just in case that if this happens, that will happen. So that's part of your meditation, professional meditation for the day, is that I'm gonna anticipate what balls are going to be dropped, and I'll already have a plan or some type of option to go for that, so that the CEO does not have to worry about, oh, for example, in the church world, the musician didn't show up. Well, I want my leader over the music ministry to be thinking about, hey, if this person gets sick and can't show up, then who are we going to go to? Who do we have in the hole? So all of that type of forward thinking, and that's what I mean about cadence. Like, you can't be slow and sluggish and work around certain leaders. You got to have that cadence that I'm thinking ahead, that if this happened, we'll troubleshoot and go there as well. That's paramount to me.
Yeah,
I agree.
I'm trying to say all of that, right?
Definitely. And as an administrative assistant, so for me, being on both sides, being an assistant and a CEO, and even today still being an assistant to many CEOs in various industries, things like building lists, small things to big things, the restaurant lists, the best restaurants they love, places that they can bring people, places they can get gifts from. All those small little things that a CEO wouldn't have time to do, you want to have it ready at their fingertips if possible, if need be, right?
Yeah.
That's definitely a lifesaver.
Yeah, Elder, I never forget. And a lot of times, especially in the African-American community, we learn professionalism in the Black church. You learn how to speak appropriately in the Black church when they put you up for the Easter program. You learn how to event organize when they had certain things that's going on. One of the things I'll never forget, years ago, when I was serving just as an armor bearer, and we used to have revivals, and I used to be on the team that go and pick up the guests from the airport and escort them, like the whole hospitality piece. And I never forget being trained. The person that was training me was telling you always got to think about what the speaker would need, what the guests would need. Like, do they need breath mints? Do they need a list of hotels? What happens if they have a run in their a rip in their suit pants? Those kind of things are the things that you want to be thinking about, so that if something happens right there, it's going to be priceless for you to show up at that moment. So all of those things have to be accounted for, and that's a part of the psychological or mental preparation, I think, that that executives and administrators and those who walk alongside individuals like that think about. And none of that stuff is too small. I mean, at the time, I was learning that, I was on nobody's platform. Most of the time, I didn't even get a chance to go into church to hear the preacher preach, because we were, preparing for after service. But it was those type of things that kept us thinking, like, okay, make sure the car is here at this time. Make sure this person is here at that time. Make sure that they have everything out of their bag. If they didn't travel with an assistant, how do I have their product ready so that they can go out? And these were people who saw me for, a couple of hours, and they flying out of town. So it had no benefit to me. But I didn't know at that time, as I mentioned earlier, that it was training for something that I would have to manage years later. So wherever you are, and I want to encourage somebody with this, be excellent where you are. Because you cannot want the right one unless you are the right one.
Okay.
Right? So
again.
Yeah. A lot of us, we want the right position. We want the right job. We want the right business, but you got to be the right one. And so if you be the right one, that everything else is going to attract towards you, because you've leveled yourself up.
That's good. That is so good. Tanya?
I love it. That's it.
That's it. And that is so
$10,000 if I wasn't ready.
Right. So you have to, like you said, be faithful and consistent where you are. Be excellent where you are. Your gift will make room for you.
Tanya, I'm going to be declaring that $10,000. You're going to have $10,000 clients.
$10,000 clients.
Tune into our service on Sunday. I'm going to be saying, I believe that's the Lord. God is going to give you $10,000. If you're in the comments right now, just put your hand up. You're going to receive a $10,000 client. Yes, indeed.
Hallelujah. Shabbat.
Hallelujah. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. But like you stated, what was so important and key that you said you didn't benefit, meaning physically, like tangibly, but you
Right.
benefited later because you were planting seeds of excellence. So guess what? As a CEO, you plant seeds of excellence. You're going to get administrators and leaders of excellence.
Yes. Yes.
You're
Yes.
going to reap what you sow. You mean and hateful, you devalue people,
Mhm.
you're going to attract the very same people around you.
Right.
Okay.
So I want to go back to that opening statement on competence and capacity, because what you're talking about right now is wisdom, right? And so knowing sometimes that you got to learn before you earn. We've all heard that before, that
Yeah.
you have to understand the value and how precious wisdom is for whatever field that you're in.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I wasn't getting any money. I mean, I wasn't charging the church to be to be an armor bearer, but I didn't know at the time I was getting all of the wisdom. Right. I was being exposed to international guests, and I was seeing how they move and the conversations that they were having and how even church business was conducted. And all of this was wisdom. Right. And so you want people as a leader around you that values wisdom. Right. I used to always ask my pastor, what are you reading? Or when I talk to other business leaders, I don't want to know, how much money you got. I want to know what you read. Right. I want to know who you listening to. What podcasts are you listening to? Because I'm going to place a value and a premium on that wisdom. Even now, when I listen to preachers and they reference a book, oh, I'm stopping the YouTube right there. I'm going to Google that book. I need that book. Why? Because I don't want to preach like you. I just want to read what you read, right? And then that way I'll have the foundation to be able to do it the way that God is telling me to do.
Right. And I remember TDJ said that, you shouldn't want what people have, but you should want what they do. What did they do to get where they are?
Right.
What steps did they take? Like you said, grabbing a hold of wisdom, being teachable. Okay. So I'm speaking to administrators. You have to be teachable, tech savvy. Y'all, all this new technology, come on. Either you're going to get left behind or you're going to learn it. So, that's so important. So in closing, I know we talked about the challenges CEOs have, but I hope you all know that administrators have challenges. Your support staff has challenges too. And those challenges with their bosses, sometimes, like we said, feeling devalued and, not appreciated. And oftentimes not given the opportunity. So you're given minimal tasks when you could be probably stretching them to do greater tasks, So what do you think are some challenges that some support staff may experience when dealing with executives? And then we'll be kind of wrapping up.
Well, for me as a assistant on the assistant end, right? The challenge would be probably little things like personality. It comes down to relationship, and follow through with what they may not be, like Pastor says, a lot of visionaries aren't organized. So as an organized person, that feels like a challenge to me. But at the end of the day, every experience is an opportunity.
That's good.
And so as an administrative assistant, I can't take that on as a negative. I have to take it on as a positive challenge, to whereas this is my purpose here. I can't get frustrated because they're disorganized. Okay, great. I'm going to help you be organized. That's my value. So it's all in the perception, right? Is it a challenge or a negative? I choose to use it as a challenge and bring my value to the table. And I am, in many cases, used and indispensable because of that. It's why I get paid.
Yeah.
It's why I get paid.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think a lot of times administrators and those who walk alongside leaders can struggle in, and this is something that I had to learn as a young leader, can struggle with confidence and boldness. And I think that's so very important for them being an executive. I think Tonia mentioned earlier that you have to empower them to make decisions. But I think you also got to make sure as a leader that you are checking the pulse of the people that work around you to make sure that they understand that they are valued, that they do have the confidence to lead in the organization. I think that's huge. And one of the things that I try to do, back to relationship, is sitting down and trying to locate where they are. Where they are professionally, where they are mentally, are they exhausted, are they overwhelmed, and give them the liberty and the open door to share their frustrations. All right, just because somebody is sharing a frustration doesn't mean that they're anti the organization. We used to have this thing, we haven't done it in a while in our church with our staff and our executives, rather, is we used to have Tell the Truth Tuesdays, right? And Tell the Truth Tuesdays was when we just sat down and we gave individuals the opportunity to just express themselves. Like, tell the truth with how you feel, tell the truth with how you see certain things, tell the truth, because there are always going to be blind spots. And so we need that opportunity to say, hey, we got this done, but how you said this and how you were so abrasive with this probably wasn't the best way to do it. So it creates a platform where you don't have things that fester. Right. And I think that begins to cause apathy within the organization, and it begins to tear down the culture, as you mentioned earlier. So we got our C's going. Let's see, we got capacity, we got culture, we got cadence, we got confidence. So all of that is so very, very important. And so I think that's one of the things that administrators can struggle with, is their confidence. And then when they don't have that confidence, they can't be consistent. They can't bring the energy like we're expecting. So as a leader, it's very, very important to make sure that we're empowering them.
Yeah, absolutely. And
so
also,
if I can add and say that one thing, we talked about them being valued, but also pouring into them, letting them know they're valuable.
Yes.
Right.
I had an experience with it recently, and it was really from the confidence aspect, and it was something that was going on in their personal life, but they were still very close to me. I could feel it. And
Absolutely.
they needed to know that they were valuable overall, not just valued in this position.
Right. And I believe too, just the willingness for CEOs to make an investment in their support staff as well. And when I say investment, into their professional development. Half of the things that your support staff may be missing, it just simply takes an investment, right? Them going to take a class to get better, to get sharpened, to get the skills that they need. And I guarantee you, when you begin to invest in those around you, that's going to even lock them in even more so. And so it'll be very hard for them to disconnect or just feel unappreciated and then go to the next place or organization. So this was really great. I do thank you all. In closing, I want to just ask that you would share something to both the CEO and the support staff. If you have something that you could share, a word of wisdom, a nugget of revelation, something, give it to us, because we need it. But your time and your wisdom and just your labor, the wisdom is just beyond words. So share with us a takeaway.
Okay, well, my takeaway would be my gift to anybody. And that's both because I've experienced both sides and I operate in both sides every day. And that is my lifelong mission, to inspire people to be creative, sow, and grow. Be creative about how you go about doing life and business. You don't have to be in anybody's box. Use that creative gift that you have on the inside of you. So be creative, sow into purpose for people and projects. Be creative, sow, and grow. And keep growing by being a lifelong learner. So that's for CEOs and assistants. And then you got it all in the bag when you do that.
That's good. That's good. I like that.
It's how I lived. It's worked.
That's good.
Right. My thing is be an influencer. Like if you're on the team, if you're walking alongside of a leader as an executive assistant, as an executive administrator, be an influencer. Like, influence the culture of where you are. One of the things that I was going to mention tonight, and I don't mean to get real preachy in this, but in the Bible, we read in the book of Nehemiah. When we read Nehemiah, we have to understand that, first of all, Nehemiah was not a prophet per se. Nehemiah was not a preacher even per se. Nehemiah was an administrator. that when you look at the book of Nehemiah, he went back to Jerusalem to help them to organize to rebuild the wall. Now they already had laborers there, they already had elders there, they already had priests that was there, but it was until they had that person that can organize everybody, that can organize the project, that can help them find identify distractions and not be distracted by them. It wasn't until then that the walls of Jerusalem were built. And Nehemiah was not even the priest or the leader or the king of Israel at the time. He was an administrator. And so I'm speaking that because there are people out there who God has given them the assignment to build and to rebuild, but they need that Nehemiah. They need that person to say, hey, my name don't have to be on the business card, but I understand my value in coming and helping an organization rebuild its structure, to help my organization develop its systems and protocols so that whatever it is that I'm a part of can live. And that's what Nehemiah did. Nehemiah went back to Jerusalem to help rebuild the walls so that city could live again. And that's what you do as administrators. You give life to an organization. You give you give identity to the organization. You begin to help that organization achieve its potential. And even though you're not on the head, you're so important to the head that if you got cut off, the head would struggle. Okay, so I want to just encourage all of the administrators, all of the executive assistants, all of you know you have the gift of organization, you have the gift of creativity. Know that you're the Nehemiah in the Bible. I want to encourage you. It's not a very, very long book, but go back and read what it is that Nehemiah had to do in order to get that job and that task done. And that's what I believe many of you are called to be. You're called to be the Nehemiahs of this particular organization or particular group to help that organization achieve its potential.
Wow. I hope that you all were able to digest all of this great wisdom. Make sure you tag every leader. I mean, because they fall in any one of these categories as a visionary. I mean, they're going to build something. They'll tell them what they're going to build. But make sure that you tag somebody and share this with someone. And this is just wisdom at its plainest. Wisdom to help us win, in every area of our life. And so I just appreciate you guys and the time that you've shared. And I do want to say, because April 21st is Administrative Professional Day, y'all better make sure y'all mark that on the calendar. I need all the CEOs and visionaries and bosses and those of you that, are oversee of anything. Just make sure you appreciate those that are part of your administrative team and let them know how much they matter to you. So for all the Nehemiahs out there, all the creatives, the sowers, I like that. The sowers, we're going to grow, create, sow, grow, influence.
Yes.
Got it? I captured it in a nutshell.
Absolutely.
Create, sow, grow, and influence. That's what we're going to do in our culture. We're going to be culture carriers. I love it. So again, why don't you guys share? Of course, y'all can just type in Tonia Askins. You'll find everything that she's doing. You can type in Dennis R.Hebert and you'll find everything that is going on. But there are on social media platforms. And I just ask that you all would just stay connected to wisdom. And that's my goal, to stay connected to wisdom. So we had so many individuals in the chat. They was just loving the conversation. And I thank you guys for just bearing with us through the technical difficulty, but we made it through, bless the Lord. And so this has really been great. So again, thank you, Bishop Hebert, for your time, and Tonia for your time. This is only the beginning about what God is going to do in our life. So for many of you, I really want to make sure too that you guys get a PowerPoint that I did, as well as some of the notes. And we know this is on Facebook. We want you to share it, but I want to communicate with all the administrators. So if you are an administrator, I want you to go to my page, URU Associates. Thank you, Tiffany. Tiffany's in the chat, y'all. She's our moderator for today. She was on Zoom with us. Kind of lost her, but she hanging in with us. But you can go to uruassociates.com so that we could stay connected. And just simply go to the page and then connect with us. We want to stay connected with you. So again, thank you guys for your time. I appreciate you all. And so we're going to log off, and we pray that you guys have received all the principles that were shared, and our desire is that you all will have a blessed night. So thank you for being a part of the A Locker Room chat we kept it real, but now it's time to talk.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Okay, bye-bye.